On August 11, 2025, a federal court made headlines by repealing key tariffs from the Trump era, a decision that many experts had been anticipating for months. The announcement sent shockwaves through global markets, triggering immediate volatility and uncertainty among investors and businesses worldwide. This landmark ruling challenges years of protectionist U.S. trade policy and signals a possible shift back toward open markets and renewed international cooperation. The tariffs, which targeted a wide range of goods from China and the EU, were central to the America First agenda. While they aimed to protect American industries, they also sparked global trade disputes, retaliatory measures, and higher costs for both businesses and consumers. Their sudden removal creates a new landscape of uncertainty and opportunity for businesses and consumers not just in the U.S., but around the world. Companies must now adapt quickly to changing supply chains and pricing structures. The court's decision is more than a legal technicality. It's a direct rebuke of recent protectionist trends and a statement about the future direction of U.S. trade policy. Now, the world is watching closely. Will the U.S. return to its traditional role as a leader in free trade, or will it chart a new, more cautious course in the global economy? In this video, we'll break down what tariffs are, why they were imposed in the first place, and the legal arguments that ultimately led to their repeal in court. We'll examine the economic fallout in detail, who benefited, who lost out, and how global trade patterns shifted during the years the tariffs were in place. We'll also explore the reactions from business leaders, politicians, and international partners, all of whom have a stake in the outcome of this pivotal decision. This isn't just a return to the pre-2018 status quo. It's a rare moment for the U.S. to rethink and potentially reshape its entire trade strategy for the future. The debate now centers on a crucial question: how should America balance its domestic interests with its responsibilities and opportunities on the global stage? The outcome of this debate will shape economies, industries, and livelihoods for years, if not decades, to come, affecting millions of people both at home and abroad. Let's dive into the story behind this landmark ruling and explore what it truly means for the future of trade, both in the U.S. and around the world. Here's how we got to this historic turning point. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods, one of the most recognizable and oldest tools in the world of trade policy, shaping the way nations interact for centuries. Since the earliest days of international commerce, tariffs have played a crucial role in shaping economies and protecting national interests. Their main purpose? To make foreign products more expensive, giving domestic industries a competitive edge. There are several types of tariffs, each with its own impact. Ad valorem tariffs, which are calculated as a percentage of the product's value. Specific tariffs, which are a fixed fee charged for each unit imported. And compound tariffs, which combine both methods for added flexibility. Governments use tariffs for many reasons: to protect jobs, raise revenue, or retaliate against what they see as unfair trade practices by other countries. But tariffs come with trade-offs. They often raise prices for consumers, contribute to inflation, and can even trigger trade wars. While some domestic producers benefit from reduced competition, others, especially manufacturers who rely on imported materials, face higher costs and shrinking profit margins. The debate is ongoing and often heated. Are tariffs a vital shield for workers and industries, or do they ultimately drag down the entire economy? Supporters argue tariffs defend jobs, protect national security, and help level the playing field. Critics counter that tariffs distort markets, hurt consumers with higher prices, and can stifle innovation. The Trump administration put these tools to the test, sparking a new era of debate and policy experimentation in U.S. trade. In 2018, the Trump administration launched sweeping tariffs, shifting U.S. trade policy toward aggressive protectionism. Using laws like Section 232 and 301, tariffs hit steel, aluminum, and hundreds of billions in Chinese goods, citing national security and unfair trade. The goal? Pressure China, protect U.S. industries, and bring manufacturing home. But the tariffs sparked a trade war, with China and others retaliating. The scope was vast, covering everything from machinery to clothing. Instead of working through the World Trade Organization, the U.S. opted for direct confrontation. The administration argued these moves would fix trade deficits and revive American jobs. In reality, the tariffs upended global trade and fueled years of economic uncertainty. But were they legal, and did they work? The U.S. Court of International Trade struck down the tariffs after years of legal challenges from importers. The court found the administration exceeded its authority, missing deadlines and expanding tariffs beyond what the law allowed. The ruling emphasized, presidential power in trade is not unlimited. It must follow Congress's rules. Many tariffs were imposed too late or used as bargaining chips, not as targeted responses to unfair practices. The immediate result: tariff collection stopped, and importers may seek billions in refunds. The government could appeal, but the decision is a major check on executive power. It reaffirms that even in trade, the law, not politics, sets the boundaries. So, what did these tariffs actually do to the economy? The economic impact of the tariffs was both clear and deeply complicated, affecting nearly every corner of the U.S. economy in ways that were sometimes unexpected. Multiple studies show that U.S. importers and consumers ended up shouldering most of the costs as prices rose on a wide range of goods, from washing machines and refrigerators to everyday electronics and household items. While domestic steel and aluminum producers experienced short-term gains and increased profits, industries that rely on those materials, such as automakers and manufacturers, faced higher input costs, production slowdowns, and even layoffs as a result. American farmers were hit especially hard by retaliatory tariffs from other countries, losing access to key export markets and becoming increasingly dependent on government aid programs that couldn't fully make up for their financial losses. Despite these measures, the tariffs did not succeed in shrinking the U.S. trade deficit or in bringing manufacturing jobs back to the country on a large scale, as was originally promised. Instead, many companies responded by shifting their supply chains to other low-cost countries outside of China, rather than relocating production to the United States. The net effect was slower GDP growth, higher prices for consumers, and significant disruption for key American industries, with ripple effects felt by families and businesses alike. Ultimately, the data suggests that the tariffs failed to deliver on their biggest promises, leaving many businesses and workers disappointed. But the impact wasn't just economic. It fundamentally redrew the global trade map, altering relationships and supply routes around the world. Before 2018, global trade was booming, with the US and China deeply intertwined. The tariffs changed everything. US-China trade shrank as importers sought new suppliers. Companies moved assembly to Vietnam, Malaysia, and Mexico to dodge tariffs, boosting trade with those countries. The result: supply chains became more fragmented and regional, not necessarily more American. The tariffs accelerated supply chain diversification, but in a costly, chaotic way. The World Trade Organization's influence weakened as countries turned to bilateral deals and unilateral actions. Winners? Countries that absorbed manufacturing leaving China. Losers? Those caught in the crossfire. The global trading system became less predictable, more regional, and more complex. Even with tariffs gone, the world isn't snapping back to the old order. So how are people reacting to this new reality? The court's decision sparked strong reactions. Business groups and retailers cheered, hoping for lower costs and more stable supply chains. Free trade advocates called it a win for the rule of law and global cooperation, but supporters of the tariffs, especially in manufacturing states, warned of job losses and renewed foreign competition. International partners welcomed the move, hoping for a return to predictable, rules-based trade. China and the EU expressed cautious optimism, but tensions remain. Labor unions and some domestic producers worry about a flood of cheap imports. The debate highlights a core tension: lower prices for consumers versus protecting specific industries and jobs. The future of U.S. trade policy is now up for grabs. What comes next? The repeal doesn't reset U.S. trade policy to 2018. The world has changed. Supply chain shocks, pandemics, and geopolitical tensions demand new strategies. Policymakers now focus on supply chain resilience, reshoring critical industries, and building alliances. Expect more targeted incentives and partnerships, not just blanket tariffs. The court's ruling also reasserts Congress's authority over trade, likely leading to tighter rules on presidential power. Future trade deals may require more bipartisan consensus and collaboration with allies. Meanwhile, the U.S. must re-engage with global institutions to shape the rules of 21st century trade. The challenge: advance American interests while strengthening the international order. The next chapter will blend open markets with strategic protections. The stakes couldn't be higher. How will America lead in this new era? The court's repeal of the tariffs is a turning point for U.S. trade policy. The tariffs aim to protect jobs, but raised costs and disrupted global supply chains. Now, businesses and allies hope for stability, while some workers fear renewed competition. The debate over America's role in global trade is just beginning. Will the U.S. champion free trade again, or blend openness with new protections? The answers will shape the economy and the world for years to come. The story isn't over. The challenge: address real concerns without repeating costly mistakes. Is this a new era of cooperation, or just a pause in economic nationalism?